Hi all, we are now in session 31 and we are going to start with a new activity in Azure Data Factory. It is a very important activity after get metadata. So this is known as lookup. In the lookup activity, what you can do is you can basically fetch the data from your data set and use it to perform activities in your pipeline. So general example is, suppose if you want to copy multiple files, and in that case scenario, if you are doing copy activity, you have to hard code it. So if you have suppose 10 files, it is still easy. You will have 10 pipelines. Each pipeline will have one copy activity which will be having information related to one file. But suppose if you want to do the same thing for 100 files, then it will become very tedious to first of all create all those pipelines, and managing those pipelines will also be very difficult. So in that scenario, lookup can be very useful. So general use case is when you want to perform an ingestion where you have multiple files to fetch and put it in sync. Then you will create a configuration file which will store all the information related to files that you want to copy, and then the lookup activity will be used to get all the data from that file, and accordingly the pipeline will execute. Okay, so this is the basic idea of the lookup. Now lookup can support multiple, or I would say different data sets. So it can support files, it can support database tables, but there are certain restrictions in on the lookup, like how much data you can fetch in the lookup. Okay, so either you can fetch 5,000 records. So if you are using a table or an excel sheet where you have suppose 10,000 records, so lookup will only give you first 5,000 records, or the output of the lookup cannot exceed more than 4 MB. So it's like if you have a file which is of greater than 4 MB size, then lookup will fail. Okay, so these are the two limitations that you have to keep in mind in order to make sure that your lookup activity is running fine in the pipeline. Okay, now if you are using stored procedure or query, a select query to perform the lookup, then make sure that your procedure or query is returning exactly one row. If it is returning multiple rows, then lookup will fail as well. Okay, so these are the three main considerations that you have to keep in mind before you incorporate lookup activity in your pipeline. Okay, so in order to understand this particular activity, we are going to perform two scenarios. The first scenario will be, we are going to have multiple files, and each file will have a different name, different storage location, and different sync location. And we have to ingest that particular data using one single pipeline. So we are going to see how lookup can reduce our task time, or I would say reduce our effort. And there will be a second scenario where we are going to do the same thing using a database table. Okay, so it's like you will have multiple tables, and there will be one single table that will hold everything that you want to do using the pipeline. Okay, and you will look up that table and perform the ingestion. Okay, so we are going to use whatever we have learned so far. So in these two scenarios, you will understand the power of the lookup activity. And once we are good with the lookup, we are going to perform a single project where we are going to actually see everything that we have seen so far, all the activities that we have covered so far. We will use every activity in one single project, and then we will move ahead. Okay, so for today, it is just an introduction of the lookup. So just to give you a quick recap, lookup is used to get the data from a data set in order to dynamically perform activities in your pipeline. Second, lookup has three basic limitations. The first is you can either fetch up to 5,000 rows at max, or you can have 4 MB data extracted from the data set by lookup. And if you are using a SQL or a stored procedure, then you can have one and only one row as an output in the lookup. In these three cases, you are good. If any of the three are violated, your lookup activity will fail. Okay, so lookup activity can be used with both files and databases. We are going to see both the scenarios in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked my video. And if you are liking the content, please like, share, and subscribe. And please provide your valuable feedback in the comment section so that I can improve my content. Okay, so take care and see you in the next session.